this is the My Reader Minutes. Thanks for stopping by. I'm only going to be a few minutes. I'm out running some errands. And I'm going to go pick up some crabs for me and my girls. We are going to eat some crabs. I don't know if anybody is from the East Coast. Crabs is a thing, especially in my neck of the woods. So anytime we can get together and eat some crabs, it's a fun time. Anyway, I'm on my way to pick them up now. So I just wanted to come here for a few minutes though, but I want to talk about the second episode of the Braxtons. And I want to also say that looking at this episode, knowing what I kind of know that's going on in the background, I'm looking at it through a different lens. So it's like, I'm giving everybody the side eye. Picks up where it left off last time with Tamar airing on her podcast. I think it was Love, Live, and Beyond, or Live, Love, and Beyond, something like that. And she's giving her niece Ashley a free space to talk about her experience, talk about what she's been going through, talking about her healing process with all the stuff that she's been through in childhood as a teenager. If you don't know, I will pin my last video. It kind of talks about I give you an overview of what's going on in the background, so I'll pin that at the end of this video. But with her, the goings on with her late Uncle Gabe and her Aunt Trina situation. Anyway, we don't get to hear anything that she's about to share because I want to say that Tamar was also sent a cease and desist as well from maybe her brother. I don't know for sure, but she talks about that. She got that from him. And the reason why I say she got it from him is because there's a scene that they keep revisiting with the sisters sitting at the table. And each time it looks like they show a little bit more, like they showed a little bit more in the scene than they did the last episode. So maybe we'll get the whole scene by the end of the season. I don't know. But she's sitting there with her sisters, Tamar that is, and she asked Tawanda, because Tawanda's getting ready to get married or preparing to be married. So she asked Tawanda how things going with get that together or whatever. She was like, it's coming along. The hardest part is getting all the girls their dresses. And so Tamar said, well, isn't that supposed to be for like a maid of honor or a maid of honor to do? And she said, yeah. So Tony looks at Tamar and said, well, aren't you a maid of honor or something? She was like, telling Tony, I was relieved of my duties. I was told that, she said, I've been disinvited. I think that's what she said. And Tawanda said, well, who told you that? She was like, who told you that? She said, we were told that you didn't want to film with us. And so Tamar says, well, I told you know why I don't want to film with y'all. She said, every last one of y'all are trying to mess up my business, meaning I guess her podcast, because of the cease and desist. And she said, one of y'all told that, and I want to say she called him a Niger, meaning her brother. I want to say she called him a Niger, and or ninja, but the real N word. And says one of y'all told him. She said one of y'all, and it cuts it off. It doesn't say it, but I could fill in the blank. She said one of y'all told that my address. So I'm assuming he sent her a cease and desist as well. I want to say I heard that somewhere, but I don't remember for sure. Anywho, so they go back to, like, I guess the podcast. Like I said, we don't really hear anything in the podcast because, well, I can go straight. Anyway, we don't really hear anything in the podcast because they've been told, I guess, not to mention anything about him, about what happened, about anything regarding the situation, even though it's her situation. And again, I don't know, I guess she can't say his name. So, anywho, So she basically tells her reasoning. I think Tamar asked her why did she feel like she needed to come on social media to tell it. And she gives her explanation as to why she did that. Okay. So at the end of the podcast that we don't see, okay, Tamar seems like she's being really genuine. I'm really feeling, I really love that for Ashley, that she's getting the love from at least one of her aunts. Because it seems like she really might not have anybody in her corner. Her sister is gone, she's, passed on. And she doesn't have anybody. She doesn't have her real mother. She doesn't really talk to her stepmother. I don't think she has really a good relationship with her dad, clearly. So she doesn't really have too many people. And she lives all the way in Barcelona, Spain. So I'm glad that Tamar reached out and has somewhat a relationship with Tamar now. Tamar is a little fickle, and she might be all in her corner today, but might be something different tomorrow. I don't know, but it seemed really genuine on cameras, while the cameras were rolling anyway. I'm praying that was a good thing for Ashley. Anyway, she was like, Tamar was giving her a hug. She says, I love you. She said, and she apologized to her, which seemed, really real, genuine. She said, I apologize that I wasn't in my healing space to give you the support that you needed. I'm paraphrasing, but something to that effect. And I thought that was awesome. Oh, I thought that was awesome. I was like, wow, that's what she needed. You know what I mean? That's really what she needed. Anywho, so they move on to the next segment, and it's Trina and two of the ladies that I guess are going to be in the wedding for Tawanda. I guess two of Tawanda's friends. And they're at this, I guess, embroidery shop where they're going to get robes for all the ladies and get, like, ladies of honor written on them. And then on Tawanda's bride, of course, and on Brooke's robe, they'll have junior bride. So they're there and they're talking about, they can't wait to get to Mexico, where I think they have an Airbnb, and they're talking about, I think Trina shares with them that Tony and Tamar won't be there. They're also talking about Sean and Tawanda made it real clear that they didn't want any strippers, even though they have they do a flashback of Tawanda doing Trina's bridal shower, and she had penises everywhere. She had penis balloons, penis this. Even Tamar said she had penis mitts. She said, I got some in my purse. You want one, Ma? She said, penis is everywhere. In the next segment, it was kind of dark a little bit. I don't remember this happening. I don't know if it was ever really talked about, but Tawanda she was sent to the emergency room. Evidently, she had dropped her fiance Sean off at the airport, and in her leaving on foot, she was struck by a vehicle. And she must have face planted, because when they were showing her, she had cuts on her nose, cuts on her hands, and she must have did something to her wrist and she had some fractures or something. And they had to, give her a soft cast at first, but I think they said they had to go back and give her a hard cast. I'm not really certain, but anyway. And I honestly believe she's got a tooth missing too. She tried not to talk really wide, but she was looking up at her husband, talking to him, and you could see on the side that she had a tooth missing. But they didn't talk about her tooth missing. All they talked about was the fractures in her wrist or whatever. And I want to show y'all this picture right here. That girl got a tooth missing. But anyway, like I said, she must have face planted. It must have been really bad. But she said it doesn't matter. She's going to get herself together, and she's going to Tulum, Mexico. There's nothing messing this up for her. Meanwhile, when her husband, fiance comes in, they show him, because remember, he has a bald head. But they show him getting one of those, not a hair transplant, but those, I guess, a man wig. And whoever did a real good job, and they faded it out or whatever. She said it reminded her of the Cameo. She did a side-by-side of Cameo or whatever. It was cool. But anyway, he is nice looking with hair. I don't particularly like him without hair. Anyway, next thing. Anyway, so Tony must call her while she's in the emergency room, and so Tony's probably kind of letting her know, like, can you wait? Like, you don't have to go to the Bahamas or to the islands or wherever you're going. And she said, Tony, I'm not going to the Bahamas. I'm going to Mexico. She was like, out of the country, whatever. Tony is like, she don't really care where she's going. She knows she's going somewhere, but she's not going. So she doesn't even matter where she's really supposed to be going. So, next scene is Tamar. I think she's doing a photo shoot. You know, she's going on tour with Orlando, London. And the guy that did they call it a creative or whatever, I guess, to set up the scene so they can get a feel of what the photo shoot's supposed to be about. And she's sitting there. She looks really pretty in her outfit and everything. And so finally she says, why am I in a bar? And so the guy, the photographer, whoever he is trying to give her the background. Like, this is what my vision was. This is what, you know, you come over, they have a martini. She said, a martini? She said, that's not my, she basically said, that's not my image. She said, my fans or the Tay Martians are not coming out, or not pouring martinis. She said, I like a martini every now and again. She said, but that's not my image. She said, my Tay Martians and fans are drinking Long Island iced teas. Okay, whatever. So she's upset because she's like not really feeling how everything is set up. She talks to her team, and I think this was all staged or scripted because I didn't really think it was a great argument or anything to be upset about. Didn't make sense. I think she's trying to put, because she did the same thing last week when she got her liquid butt lift. She had like a little comic relief in there. This time she was into nobody shared the creative with me, who dropped the ball, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, girl, and she switched out the martini for a beer. Nah, I didn't really like that. But anyway, so next thing. I might be going out of order, but I can't really remember. But it looks like Miss Evelyn is meeting a girlfriend for tea, but they haven't showed up yet. But Tony calls her beforehand and just to catch up with her, and I think she talks about the book that Miss Evelyn is coming out. I think it's called For Better or For Worse. And then they cut over to, I guess, part of Tamar's podcast where she talks about, her mom talks about the book that she is writing. She made a comment. You know, Miss Evelyn does come out with some gems or whatever, but I think Tamar asked her, was she bitter? Was she still bitter? Or was she bitter? And I guess she was like, I don't know. She said, I don't think I am. She said, but I don't care how it comes across. She said, the hoe always outlasts the pole. Everybody knows the hoe always outlasts the pole. So I think that was a dig to Mr. Braxton and his new wife. Or not his, and his second wife. Not new wife, because he been married to her for a minute now. And I was like, Miss Braxton. Remember, she was the one that was saying, laying it low, spreading it wide. But she was talking to Mr. Braxton then, too. So anyway, that was a cute little gem she dropped. So I might have to use that, too. Anyway, I think Tony talks about that she can't really make it to Tawanda's little shindig in Mexico. She's doing a show in Vegas. And then she's also preparing for a show in Miami. So she's not really available. And she's going to try to make a bridal shower. Even though I don't know what this is, the interlude, but she said she's going to try to make the real bridal shower. Yeah. So then they go to the bridal shower. They're playing games. Trina is just looking at all the girlfriends and they're acting really crazy. They do pin the penis on the man. They do another game where they're trying to make people laugh, and they go through all that, and they get to a question about Tawanda, about who was Tawanda's childhood crush, and somebody said Bobby Brown, and She said no. She said, but I did date him. Did anybody know she used to date Bobby Brown? Because Bobby Brown doesn't claim her. You know, Bobby Brown, when he did his My Prerogative movie, he talks about Janet Jackson. He doesn't say anything about Tawanda Braxton. I guess at the time she wasn't really famous. But Tawanda always had a body on her, though. So she had body, yaddy, yaddy. So if he dated her, that was because that's why. But, yeah, no. I don't recall her dating Bobby Brown. But she said she did. But she said her childhood crush was Hill Harper. And supposedly they show some flashback where he was on her way to her room. So maybe she did date him, maybe. I don't know. Hill Harper is a little guy. But he looks like more her type. Because, you know, Tawanda has a type. Because I remember her children's father. And whether he didn't look like Hill Harper, he kind of gave you the image of a meek, mild type guy. You know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah. So when they were looking around, they want to know, because I feel like Trina must know the answer. So they're like, where's Trina? Where's Trina? And then all of a sudden, she noticed that Trina's disappeared. So Trina, they go off to the camera. You don't really see her, but you hear her. And she's on the phone with her husband, Vaughn. And he's been, he's gone to the hospital. And I think he's saying that he has congestive heart failure. So she's preparing to leave. And she's like, don't tell Tawanda. So that's how it goes off. All I know is that I'm looking at them through another lens now. I know that some of this stuff is fluff, foo-foo stuff, because they really don't want y'all to know the real thing. But Tamar, because of how she is, kind of puts them out there on Front Street. And now it looks like she has a partner in crime, which is Ashley. And I say, just come out with this. Just come out with the stuff. Every family has stuff. Just come out with it. So now in the YouTube streets or in the Instagram streets, they're saying, oh, I don't know why all these people are talking so much about our family. All families are dysfunctional. No, there's levels. I'm not saying that all families are dysfunctional. I'm not going to say that because I don't know all families. But there are levels. Where my family might be dysfunctional, it may not be at the level of your family. Or your family might be at the level of mine. I'll go with that. So, anyway, let's get down in the comments. Let's talk about this. Tell me what you think. I'm going to watch it. Because ain't nothing else on TV. So, let's get in comments and talk about it. Like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribing is a free way to support my channel. And everyone be blessed. Peace.